Each week we take time on our home church services to talk about generosity, how we can steward the resources that God has given us through avenues like tithe and offering to fuel God's commission of being disciples that are making more disciples. And in the message today, we're talking a lot about our hearts. Like, why? Because it's an important aspect of our life in Jesus. And when we talk about hearts, we're not talking about like the organ pumping blood in your chest, okay? For the ancient world, the heart was sort of that spiritual part of us where our emotions and our desires dwell. It's sort of this, it's the source of what we love, of what we ultimately worship, which is probably why the Bible references the heart almost 1,000 times. Like, it's kind of a big deal. And one of the areas of Scripture that references the heart is in connection to the pursuit of wealth. Here are a couple key passages on that. In 1 Timothy 6, verse 10, it says, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And some people craving money have wandered from the truth and pierced themselves with many sorrows." Another one from our Matthew series is in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Jesus said, "No one can serve two masters, for you will hate one and love the other. You'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money." And what I see as a tie in both of these verses is that it's not a sin to have money. That's not the issue. It's actually when it's money has you. When the source of your life becomes a pursuit of wealth, when that takes precedence in your heart above loving God and loving your neighbor, we run into all kinds of problems. Okay, so how do we keep our hearts from becoming enslaved to money? Simply put, it's generosity. As we give faithfully to God's kingdom mission and values, we are reminding our hearts that we belong to Jesus. Okay, we are His. We do not belong to that pursuit of wealth. And generosity is a double blessing because not only does it serve as a reminder to our hearts, right, that our desires, but it also blesses the kingdom work we're called to as Oasis Home Church. Okay, our vision is to develop and deploy healthy, abiding followers of Jesus, and that's fueled by your faithful tithes and offerings. So thanks for continuing to place Jesus as priority in your hearts, and for continued generosity to the mission and vision that God has given us as a church.